All I remember is falling. Rather, the sensation of falling. I wasn't aware of anything else. No sight, sound, smell, or even a thought of myself. Just a free fall through the void. I didn't even know myself, who or what I was. My mind is an endless grey fog within an empty void, clouding my brain and wafting through my body. No, that wasn't it. I wasn't aware I possessed a body. I was only a presence drifting through the clouded abyss, unaware of who I am or what I was. I had no identity, no name, no face, no body to speak of, and no gender to identify myself. I was only a semblance of sentient thought drifting through eternity, peacefully oblivious the passage of time and the grey, muted shadows enshrouding it. I was nothing but a semblance of something, until I crashed. A jarring impact tore throughout what I knew was my entire body. The pain brought back the semblance of a physical form. It started out a dull drumming, a small presence inside myself that didn't overwhelm me but couldn't be ignored. It wasn't enough to clear the haze until it grew into a dull prodding, poking me like a biting insect until I had to fully acknowledge it was there. Okay, that hurts. Where does it hurt? The more aware I became of it, the deeper it grew, until it throbbed mercilessly through my whole self, a knife digging into me until I could no longer feel as a passing cloud. The pain brought back the awareness of a physical state, and with it, the knowledge I wasn't a semblance of mere thought anymore. I was more than thought. I was made of something that was capable of extreme discomfort. It hurts. Why does it hurt? I shudder as the blackness gradually fades from my mind. Slowly but surely, I began awakening into consciousness. I now have a physical body and a mind controlling it. I had an identity, even if I didn't know who it was. I was an actual something, even though I was in a lot of hurt. I am myself, and I know what I am. I can feel what I am, even though it's not pleasant. I feel bones and muscle. I can hear my heart beating within my chest and the air gasping heavily through my lungs. Soon, I could feel and recognize the different parts of myself. Head, toes, legs, arms, fingers, feet. This is what I am and I can do. Dear God, it hurts. My entire back feels like it's on fire. The burning coals buried between my shoulder blades. My first breath of life was a shuddering cry of pain. Everything feels quiet. I utter a drawn-out groan, curling myself up and clenching my fists. I feel the sharp pain in my back, savage, unbelievable. Only when I relax my muscles does the pain shrink into a hard throbbing. I open my eyes onto a dark field beneath the stars and the full moon. Light flickers in my sight of the surrounding grass, charred from wildfire and sparkling with ember. I look at myself and see I am a human woman, naked as a newborn and freaking chilled to my bones. At least my back doesn't feel like it's burning anymore, but I do feel a heavy throbbing between my shoulder blades. How did I get here? I knew nothing of who I am, where I came from, or what I was even doing naked in the middle of a burning field. But my mind wasn't a empty void. Was it a memory? I don't know, but in my mind was an image of a great forlorn castle, an ominous shadow against the landscape. Castle Dracula. I knew its name. That had to mean something. Maybe that's where I came from. A compulsion stirs in my brain, a deep instinct. I need to go there. I don't know why, but I must find it quickly. I shamble my arms and legs, trying to get used to their motion. The fact I had limbs I could move was new to me, but I couldn't rise myself up. Well, guess I'll have to learn to walk on my 2 feet if I'm going to get anywhere. The grass rustles and I shield my eyes from the light of 2 lamps. Dear Lord, an older voice gasped. What the hell is she doing out here? His female companion said. I moved my hand away. My eyes adjusted to the light when I saw an elderly couple holding lanterns and staring at me. Surprised to see me here as I was. Don't go near her. The man warned the woman who gently approached. Oh, relax, she's harmless. She snapped at him. Darling, think for a moment. Her husband persisted. A fireball crashes in the middle of the field, and in the center of the burning impact is a seemingly defenseless naked woman. Too suspicious, if you ask me. It could be a new breed of night creatures. Does she look like a demon to you? You never know with these bastards. She could be appearing as human to fool you before slitting your throat. He pulled a knife out. Better not to take chances. I cried, surprised at my own voice and the fact that I could talk. I'm not a demon. At least I don't think I am. Whatever it is, I don't mean any harm. The shivering fear in my voice convinced them enough. Easy, my dear, you're safe, the woman reassured. I don't know how you ended up in this field, naked as a newborn babe, but I do know you're scared. Come, we'll take you home and get you dressed and fed. Maybe once you're settled, you can tell us what happened. Darling, you sure that's a good idea? The man asked, still hesitant. Sure in my bones. The woman draped her cloak over me. Here, let us help you up. I wobbled on my legs and stumbled. Good Lord, it's like you've never stood on your own 2 feet before. Here, 1 foot then the next, there you go. Instinct kicked in and I was up walking, covering myself with the cloak, gently guided by 2 old farmers. The ground was cold and wet beneath my feet, and my skin prickled goosebumps from the chilled air. Do you have a name, dear? The woman asked. I shook my head. I don't even know who I am or how I got here. Oh boy, amnesia. The man grumbled in sympathy. There'll be much to figure out when we get back home. There will indeed. The woman patted my shoulder. But we'll figure it out 1 step at a time. I hope so, I thought doubtfully, but I did know one thing for certain. The castle. I needed to find Castle Dracula. The old farming couple's cottage was small and surrounded by a meager cornfield. I couldn't see much of the field in the dark, but it was enough to provide food for the 2 of them. The inside of the cottage was small but warm. In the separate bedroom, the woman dressed me. At least these won't go to waste. She would have been happy to see them worn by an unfortunate. I wanted to ask who she was talking about, but I saw she was near tears. The woman gasped, taking several steps away and staring at my back. What's wrong? I asked her nervously. You've got scars on your back. She trembled, touching right between my shoulders. I flinched. A vision of fire and stars flashed before my eyes. My voice wavered, touching the points on my back. The skin felt thick and tender. I wonder how I got them. I'm wondering the same, the woman remarked, light-hearted. Once, I was in an old, worn dress. I sat with the old couple by the fireside. I wish I could tell you about myself, but I know as much as you do. I drank a cup of water. Could you at least tell me where I am? They were friendly to answer, saying I was in a place called Wallachia, a country in Eastern Europe. It was a place populated by humans, but plagued by vampires and night creatures. The whole world's plagued by hell beasts, the man grumbled. Ooh, and it's gotten worse since Dracula's death. Dracula? I sat up straight. Ah, your memory's coming back. He remarked. I guess, I mumbled. The name sounds familiar is all. Who was Dracula? The couple glanced at each other, surprised. Dracula was once the vampire lord of Wallachia. They recounted the brutal story of the vampire's tragedy, leaving me speechless. And now he's dead, he noted. Deader than a doornail. He nodded. Slain by his own son, I heard. No good. That's done us. With him gone, the other vampire lords are scrambling for the power he left behind, and not just them. I hear troubling news of a forge master amassing an army of the damned, and the Styrian vampire queen is plotting the conquest of humanity with a forge master of her own. Between them, these feral night creatures are burning down cities and decimating towns. The world's become a dangerous place. It's always been dangerous, his wife added. But more so now. She gave me an intrigued look. Your memory's gone, but you're not a lost soul. I see the look in your eyes. There's purpose within you. I think you're right, I said. I don't remember who I am or where I came from, but I know what I have to do and where I must go. When I woke up, I had a memory of a huge magical castle. Dracula's castle? I can't say why, but I have to find it. They stared at me with intense fear in their eyes. Why, in God's great name, do you want to go that forsaken place? The man gasped. Oh, I don't know. I shook my head. I just know it's where I'm supposed to be. Maybe there's something waiting for me there. The only thing waiting for you at Castle Dracula is death, the man warned. Dracula might be gone, but his son rules the castle now. Alucard, they call him, and he's just as cruel as his father. He staked people and demons at his front gate, and some claim he stalks the countryside at night as a swarm of bats, sucking the blood and life out of sleeping villagers. He jabbed a finger at me. Stay well away from that place. Whatever purpose it may hold, it's not worth your life. He's right. His wife agreed. You're better off forgetting that evil place. Perhaps you can start a new life here. We'd be willing to take you in. You guys are very kind, but I wouldn't want to burden you. I said, touched by human kindness. You're no burden. It'd be nice to have a set of young hands to help out, and good company. The man said. I smiled. I guess I could stay for a while and get my bearings. My first night in a bed was itchy and full of dreams. The image of the castle kept playing in my mind, along with a blinding light and a figure silhouetted against the castle walls. I grumbled, rubbing my eyes when I woke up later that morning. After breakfast, I decided to take a walk to collect my thoughts. Be careful, girl, the husband warned. Oh, there's been demon sightings in the area. Don't go far. I won't, I called back. I headed toward the field where I first awakened, the dry grass crunching beneath my sandaled feet, my thoughts swirling in my brain, trying to grasp a fading memory. Nothing but that stupid, evil vampire castle. Why do I remember this freaking vampire-riddled castle and nothing else? I rubbed my head. What importance did it have? Am I from there? Am I a freaking vampire? The sun on my skin made me laugh. No, don't be an idiot. I can't be a vampire because I'm not burning alive right now. The field was easy to spot. The grass is charred and ash puffed beneath my footsteps. It looks like a meteor hit. I wondered to myself, and where I sat, doubled over naked and pained the impact point. I walked to the very spot where I was found, burnt grey to the very earth. This just keeps getting weirder and weirder. I scratched my head, and I swear that staff wasn't here before. Laying in the exact spot where I woke up was a simple wooden staff. When I picked it up, a sense of familiarity crept through my fingers. This day just keeps getting stranger with every turn. I heard a blood-curdling scream. Shit. I ran toward the direction of the cottage, following the smoke rising from the trees. I held back a cry, seeing the cottage now in burned ruins. The kind farmer and his sweet-natured wife lay strewn, bloodied across the dirt, torn apart and gorged on by hideous jackal-like demons with black-scaled skin and burning red eyes. One of the beasts turns its head up and snarls, baring rows of teeth and prowling closer to me with its companion. I stepped back, holding the wooden staff in front of me in defense, and it leapt forward. A blinding light from my staff vaporized them instantly and knocked the wind out of my feet. I crashed into the ground, blacking out. I grumbled when I came to, rubbing my throbbing forehead. It was eerily quiet, not even a trickle of the wind. I stood up, looking stunned at the destroyed cottage and its former inhabitants mauled and bloodied at my feet. After some moments, I took a shovel and buried them in their field, a single stake as their marker. Thank you for your kindness. I said, deadened. I'm sorry I couldn't return it. Once that morbid deed was done, I rummaged food, water, and supplies from the wreckage of their home, stuffing them in a pack around my shoulder and my newfound staff in my right hand. You're definitely worth keeping, I muttered, leaving the death and desolation behind. I see a road down, I murmured. All roads lead somewhere, Maybe I'll find a town and get directions. I'm on my own. I sighed, taking in the view and trying to make sense of it all. With nowhere to go but forward, I traveled down the hill and onto a worn dirt road with a magic staff in hand and a bag of supplies on my back. Nothing else I can do now but hit the road and ramble on. I traveled the road as it roved its way onward, following its curves and winds through the fields and open wilderness with only eagles soaring above watching me roam on. Walking beneath the great blue sky lightened my spirits as excitement stirred in my heart and my gait light without a sore in my footsteps. For the first time since awakening beneath the moonlight, I had direction to go and a location in mind. I still didn't have any clue where I was or how to get to Castle Dracula, but walking the open road with my staff in hand and my pack chock full of important items, I felt like a real adventurer. Nobody else traveled the road I walked, at least not at the moment. Periodically, I would look ahead or behind to see if someone would appear, but nobody did, so I kept walking in hopes I would find someone who could explain where in the world I am. Though I grieved the death of the farmers and my thoughts about them never left my mind, I couldn't allow myself to give in to despair. Avenge them by living another day and focusing on the path in front of you. I focused solely on reaching my objective point and finding my person of interest. The rest I'll worry about later. It was midday when I saw another person on the road. Well, two people actually. I walked up to them in friendly greeting. Good day. Do you know how to get to Castle Dracula? They stared at me as if I were a demon and chased me off cursing. Geez, what's your problem? I snapped at them, continuing on. Good freaks. The next person I saw was a man driving a cart. Excuse me, could you tell me the way to Castle Dracula? Why the hell would you want to go there? He snarled suspiciously. I feel I'm supposed to go there. He looked at me strangely before cracking the reins and driving off. Wow, humans are jerks, I murmured, cocking my head at the sound of a horse whinnying from cliff tops on the left side of the road. It wasn't the only sound. The clamoring of voices could be heard from a distance, in the very same direction. Probably a couple of horseback riders out on the trail. Do I really want to talk to more jerkasses? I wondered before figuring it out. I should. I have no idea where I am. Maybe I'll skip the creepy-ass vampire castle and ask where's the closest town is instead. Yeah, good idea. I'll go and talk to them. Finally figure out where I am. The only problem, the cliff tops were tall and steep, nearly impossible for someone to hike up on 2 feet. I was too desperate to pass this opportunity up. I diverted from the road and headed west to the cliffs, using my staff as a walking stick. It wasn't an easy hike up. The cliffs were extremely steep, and I needed to use the stick for leverage to keep from tumbling back down. More than a few times, my balance shifted, and I quickly supported myself again. The sound of voices grew louder the further I went up. Still, I climbed onward, crawling onto my hands and knees when the cliffs became practically vertical. I could smell what was over its edge. Smoke, fire, human sweat, earthy scent of horse manure, and the sharp, sour tang of alcohol? All of them strong enough they prickled my nose. The hill leveled out on the very top, giving me a good overlook at the scene below. I lay on my belly with my chin propped on my knuckles and my pack beside me. At the foot of the ring of steep cliff tops lay a single horse cart next to an emerging fire. A camp out. I realized. Maybe they can help me if I ask nicely without talking about vampire castles. Who knows, they could point me to a town with someone who would be generous enough to show me the way. Something forcefully rolled me onto my back. The fuck are you looking at? I screamed when a hand grabbed hold of my shoulder and pushed me against the ground. I held my staff against my body and pushed against my ambusher. Back off or I'll blast you to bits with this thing. Like hell you will. I'll strangle you first. The man's breath reeked of alcohol. Did the good old judge send you to spy on us? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I snarled at him. I just wanted to ask for directions. Why are people such assholes? Trevor let her go. A woman pushed him off me. Forgive him. He's tired, angry, and very drunk. I can see by that, I snapped, nauseous by the strong alcohol scent, and smell it. I stood firmly holding my staff and staring at the young woman. She had the same friendly air as the ill-fated farmers, garbed in a large blue cloak, with short blonde hair and sweet blue eyes. I knew I could trust her. Familiarity stirred within my mind at the sight of her robes. Have I seen them before? I tried to grab at the memory, but it slipped through my grasp like wet eels. "What are you doing sneaking around up here?" she asked. "Yes, what were you doing sneaking up here like a little fox?" her companion grumbled, giving me a steely gaze. "I'm lost. I thought maybe I could find someone to ask for directions. Can you help me?" "Of course," the blue-robed woman said amiably. "Well, maybe. That depends on if we know where you're going." I was about to answer but held my tongue. If it was just her, I would have been honest about my destination, but her grizzled, drunkard companion kept giving me the stink eye. "Do you know where the closest town is?" She smiled. "Keep following the road. Just stay on the path and you won't miss it." I nodded. "Thank you. I'll be on my way." I was about to trek down the hill when the drunk called me. "Wait." I turned around, gripping my staff, ready to crack him in the skull if he tried anything. "You're not from around here. I can smell the naivete off you. If I were you, I'd bypass that shit-ridden village and go on your merry way to wherever you're heading." He shrugged, the alcohol scent wafting off him. "Trevor, she can't." The robed woman countered. "It's getting dark, and the demons are most active at night. She should stay with us." "Absolutely fucking not," Trevor growled. "The last thing we need is an extra mouth to feed and a wide-eyed puppy slowing us down." "You, Trevor Belmont, are a selfish—" "It's okay, but," I cut in, "he's right. I'll only slow you down and be an extra burden." I sighed. Besides, the last people who were kind enough to take me in suffered a terrible fate. All the better reason not to. Trevor scoffed, getting a sharp elbow from his companion. "You are a pain," he growled at her, approaching me. He took a scabbard from his belt and handed it to me. "If you must travel the big bad world by yourself, you should at least carry a weapon." I pulled out the weapon from its scabbard. "A dagger," I remarked, intrigued. "Smart one, aren't you?" Trevor smirked. "Know how to use one." "I've never held a knife before," I told him honestly. "If it's easy, it's easy. Just stab them with the pointy end," Trevor instructed. "Aye, but don't go taking it out in the middle of town. Wouldn't want to cause a fight that'll break that pretty face of yours." I thanked them both as they wished them good luck, not before asking the woman her name. "Sypha," she said happily. "Nice to meet you, Sypha." I smiled. Something tells me we'll meet again someday. I didn't walk far when I saw a sprawling town just over the hilltop, surrounded by barren farmland and bubbling mills. I nearly collapsed on my bottom from overpowering relief. The strength in my legs resurged, and the soreness swept away as I raced down the road, heart bursting with joy as each footstep I took led closer to civilization. I walked into the bustling streets, thriving with rustic people and smelling of earth, metal, and manure. Yellow Tudor-style houses with thatched roofs and smoking chimneys, cobbled roadways busy with carts, horses, and a rush of busy inhabitants. Rows of stables full to the brim with livestock neighed, mooed, clucked, and snorted in the mingling of human conversation. Somewhere off a bard played his jubilant strings, and in another avenue, a blacksmith clanged away on a newly forged sword. In the windows above the houses, inhabitants called out to the people down below, who shouted back in joyous response, some occasionally shouting out a clear warning before dumping out pots of murky water into the canals beneath their window. No wonder Trevor called it shit-ridden. I took everything in as I wandered through the streets, every sight, sound, and smell as I passed through avenues and turned corners, gaping astonished at my surrounding and at the people who hurried by. They all smelled dirty. I wrinkled my nose, and their clothes looked as if they haven't been washed in days. I passed by dozens of stands, each one selling individual products as their overseers shouted out their prices and beckoned others to check out their wares. Various fruits, crop, and grain lined the stands. Freshly caught fish prickled the air in, and in another fine jewelry was being sold. One of those things was not like the others, I thought to myself, amused. But what startled me was the hanging meat from the stand to my right, carved and flayed. Slabs of meat lay on the table, swarmed by flies, and I saw a huge hanging carcass of what looked to be a skinned deer. That didn't look very appetizing to me. Some apples, please. I politely asked the vendor at the fruit stand. All this walking and excitement made me hungry. Got coin for that? The woman selling them stared at me completely bewildered. "Oh," I answered honestly. "Off with you then. Shoot me away." "Fine." I shrugged, heading to the center of town. Somebody's got to know how to get to the castle. "Excuse me, but do you know how I can get to Castle Dracula?" I asked a robed priest. "Away with your ill talk." He dismissed me and crossed himself. I shrugged, clenching my gut in hunger as I watched the sun set. I went to the nearest inn and asked for a bed. When the innkeeper asked if I had coin to pay, I said no. If I can get money, I can pay. That's your problem, not mine. If you got no money to spend, stop wasting my time. "She can stay with me." A drunk man grinned. "Oi, I'll take her," cackled another. I quickly left the inn, finding a secluded spot in the corner of the square to sit down and taking out the last of my food, eating the bread and fruits from my bag as I hopelessly watched the people go by. Few of them gave me a dismissive look while the rest ignored me. I slumped against the side of a board, feeling defeated. I'm never gonna find this goddamn castle if nobody will help me. I reached for my knife when a shadow stood over me. "You shouldn't be out here, my child." An elderly voice speaks. "Beaks!" The night grows dark, and the demons will emerge, but it is the human beasts that are the most imminent danger. Vagrants roam these streets at night, and a young woman like you is a prime target. I don't have much of a choice, I hissed. I have no money for even an apple, let alone a bed at the inn. I noticed he was wearing the same blue robes as Sypha. "You're a speaker." I covered my mouth. Wait a minute, why did I just figure that name? "That I am," the old man smiled. "I am the elder speaker." He helped me up. "Come, let me take you to a place where there is good company. You look exhausted in body and mind. I can tell you're deeply troubled." I took up his offer. Something in my gut told me I could trust him. The speakers traveled in a small caravan pulled by vanner horses and flanked by riders. The elder speaker took me to his encampment, and after a few awkward introductions, set me up in the car with 5 others, all women. They didn't treat me poorly beside the guarded looks, and eventually warmed up to me when they realized I had no ulterior motives. They told me they were keepers of story and tradition of all Wallachia, and they could wield elemental magic. I looked out from my cart, watching the hills and trees pass by, feeling the rumble of the wheels beneath my bare feet until I was tired enough to lay down. I didn't sleep much. The movement of the cart kept me awake, but at least I felt safe and could close my eyes, listening the birds in the trees and the stirring breaths of the women sleeping huddled around me. There is truth about safety in numbers. I felt protected here, shielded from the night creatures prowling the night by a caravan of magic wielders and a sacred ward that kept them at bay. That night, I dreamt of the castle again, shrouded in the darkened shadows of thunderclouds. A voice cries out, urging me to hurry on and get to the castle as fast as I can. I run as my bare feet crunch beneath the earth, pulled towards the castle by a deep instinct and the voices cry. Find him. Find Adrian. I woke up grumbling and rubbing the scars on my back, which started to sting. "Welcome to the land of the living," an accented voice remarked. "A speaker named Vivian." I've never seen anyone sleep so troubled. Sorry," I mumbled, sitting up and rubbing my eyes. "I was dreaming." "That's apparent?" Vivian laughed, good-hearted. "Come, there is food and good drink." I sat with the rest of the speakers as they rested outside for the morning before hitting the road. I felt in normal circumstances they'd converse freely and openly amongst themselves, but with a stranger in their midst, their conversation was subdued. If you are nomads, that means you don't have a home? I asked, wanted to start an innocent conversation. The speakers murmured to one another, but it was Vivian who answered, gently putting her hand on my shoulder. Our home is with each other. We travel the world learning and sharing knowledge, passing down our stories and traditions to the next generation. I guess that makes you family then, I said. I said, yes, the elder smiled. You could very well say that indeed. I wish I had a family. I sighed wistfully. Maybe I do, and I don't remember who they are. Perhaps you are destined to find one in this world, the elder said optimistically. I hope so. Wouldn't that be nice? I had to ask it. Have you ever lost family members? Yes, the elder answered in a melancholy tone. Many to disease and injury. In the more recent months, most of our brothers and sisters have fallen to night creature attacks. Unfortunately, those who we sacrifice ourselves to protect curse us and turn their backs when we are in need. Most think we're the devil's servants and enemies of God. I certainly believe the latter. I fear for our very survival. I sadly understand that, I sympathized. Humans are jerks. I looked around at the speakers, but luckily there are good ones out there. I caught a few smiles among them. I've lost people too, but that's not what I meant. I looked him in the eye. Did you ever actually lose someone of your clan? Not that someone died, but actually got lost or separated? No, he answered softly. That we haven't. At least not in this train. That gives me hope, I murmured. This is going to sound weird, but being among you speakers feels familiar. Like I've been with you before. My head hurt trying to push through the fog. There is a possibility, Vivian murmured. We would have to contact other trains. Though we travel apart, we speakers have ways of contacting one another from vast distances, and we keep closely in touch. I believe we would have heard something if one of our own were lost. Do you remember anything before you woke up in that field? The elder asked. I shook my head. Just the sensation of falling. I wanted to tell him of the castle, but I wasn't comfortable talking about it among the speakers. They were starting to trust me, especially Vivian, and I wanted to cultivate that trust, not burn it to the ground. You said you think yourselves as the enemies of God, because you wield magic and help people, but you're not. The exact opposite, actually. It came onto me as instinct, just as the word speaker jumped off my tongue. You weren't supposed to learn magic, but you did, because you had the potential to do a lot of good in the world. That's why they let. Moo. It slipped away from me as quickly as it came on. What am I talking about? I clenched my throbbing head. Why do I know this? The speakers murmured among themselves, and the elder stared intently at me. I believe we may have found you for a reason. The elder wants to speak with you. Vivian informed later on in the day while I was walking along the caravan to stretch my feet, holding my staff. I nodded, about to jog and go meet him, not looking like a ruffian, you won't. While we stopped the horses, we're going to give you more comfortable clothes. I didn't argue with her. She changed me inside the women's cart, not before scrubbing me down with frigid lake water she magicked from its source, while Evelyn and Mary washed my hair. You are beautiful. Mary, the old woman said, brushing my hair while it dried. Thank you, I said. I think that's the first compliment I can remember. She gasped when she lifted my hair up to brush the underside, exposing my back. Dear Lord, my stomach shuddered. I knew what she saw. It doesn't hurt, I reassured her. It stings every now and again, but it quickly goes away. Evelyn and Vivian stared at the scars in a mixture of shock and disbelief. Get the elder. Vivian told Evelyn severely. I kept quiet as they draped a blanket over me, leaving my back exposed. I cringed, looking away shamefully when the elder came in. Evelyn tells me you have peculiar scars, he said friendly. I only want to look, I nodded, holding Vivian's hand while the elder looked over my back. Oh my. He then told Vivian to get me dressed so he could speak with me in private. Vivian nodded and dressed me in a comfortable traveler's cloak and blue dress. "Not to worry, my child," the elder reassured me when I was alone. "None here will judge you by the scars you bear. Many of us have some ourselves. You wouldn't have wanted to speak with me alone if you didn't think it. They were a big deal." I tugged at my cloak nervously. Why is everyone so freaked out by them? The farmers who took me in had the same reaction. Are they bad? Does it mean I'm bad? Not at all, the elder says. It confirms what I've been theorizing. And what's that? My eyes widened. That you are here for a purpose. I gazed at the elder, both reassured and confused. Tell me, child, you do not recall anything before you awoke in that field? I hesitated. It's all right. I promise you, no judgment. You can trust me. I sighed and revealed everything. I only remember the sensation of falling and the feeling my entire back was on fire. It hurt like nasty before I opened my eyes. I touched my scars. Right here. Interesting indeed, the elder mused. There is something else, I added, and confidently told him about the castle in my visions and dreams. Castle Dracula. He sighed. A place of darkness. I've been told that before. And you wish to go there, child? Not wish it. I tapped my staff. I have to go there. Something is telling me it's where I need to be, like the Force telling birds to migrate south, or a bear to store up food and hibernate. It's compulsion, pure instinct. Maybe there's something to do with my past at the castle, I hope so, but whatever destiny I have, it starts there. I must go. That castle isn't deserted, the elder warned. The elder! A vampire rules over it, the son of Dracula, and the one who slew him. I've heard many rumors in our travels. They all have the same in common. He is not privy to strangers. I won't be a stranger, I said confidentially. Not if I convince him I'm not an enemy. I think I'm supposed to help him. I believe so too, the elder said clearly. It is a long journey to Castle Dracula, far too long for you to reach in time. Our caravan travels close to its borders. Stay with us until then, and we will help you prepare. I remained with the speaker caravan for several days as it wound its way through the heart of Wallachia. My time was spent riding in my cart, watching the scenery pass by of roving mountains and deep forests. More often, I walked alongside the cart with my staff, taking it all in while keeping an eye out for night creatures. We'd stop every few hours to rest and water the horses, sitting inside a circle of carts as we rested and ate. At dusk, we'd stop traveling and make camp. It was too dangerous to travel at night when the night creatures and vampires were most active. Though I didn't see them, I heard them prowling in the shadows of the woods. Their ragged snarls and heavy breaths sent prickles down my skin. Do not worry, Vivian murmured, huddled under the blanket beside me. The ward we set up around the caravan will keep them at bay, and if they're stupid enough to test it, we have our sentries taking up patrol. Have they tried before? I asked, nervous. Vivian said casually. Usually, they give up and search for an easier meal. Best to stay inside the ring though, they're waiting. I saw their glowing, hungry eyes when I stepped out to relieve myself by the side of the cart one night. Let's just say that was probably the shortest potty break in history. Always waiting, Vivian murmured when I settled back in with her. I tried to fall back asleep again, but the thought of those things lurking in the shadows right outside our cart didn't ease my nerves. You are safe here, traveler. Vivian wrapped her arm around my waist and I became relaxed by our presence, looking at the other speakers nestled together in their sleep. Speakers were a very tight-knit community and shared sleeping spaces with each other for comfort and protection. I definitely understood it now. I noticed the swath of the night creature's destruction when our caravan passed destroyed villages and burned farmlands. We should have been able to protect them. Vivian said morosely. But most of them would rather die than be saved by sorcerers. I thought of the farmers who took me in and shuddered, retreating into the cart like an injured animal and remaining inside for the rest of the day, only emerging at night to relieve my bladder. I really should make it a plan to go before it gets dark. Vivian? I nudged her, frightened. I think we're being attacked. She and the rest of the women in the cart sprung up, their hands glimmering with magic. What where? I heard moaning coming from the bushes at the edge of the ward. I think those demons attacked one of ours. I looked around and noticed someone was missing. Wait, where's Anya? The speakers shrugged in return to their sleep, while a few snickered under their breaths. Seriously, we must help her. Relax, Mary reassured. But Anya is perfectly safe. She is within the ward's borders, and so is Caleb. Wait, Caleb's out there too? Why would they both be out in the middle of the night when there's night creatures looking for a midnight snack? Why was she moaning like that? Why indeed, Vivian chuckled. Go back to sleep, my innocent stranger. Don't worry about any of this. She was right not to worry, because the next day Caleb and Anya kept looking at each other strangely, smirking back and forth in a secret language. Humans are so freaking weird. Eventually, my destination drew near. The elder summoned me, and we spoke privately in his cart. Castle Dracula approaches. Soon we will be skirting the border of its lands, and we will have to part ways. I nodded, fully understanding. Thank you for taking me in and letting me hitch a ride. I'll never forget your kindness, the elder smiled. Anything to help a traveler find her way, and you are no ordinary traveler. Something glimmered in his eyes. Do you know how we speakers learned magic? No, not really. I shook my head. We were taught by a messenger. He smirked. Perhaps you will learn more once you reach the castle. Sypha told me the library has centuries of history from Wallachia and across the world. Sypha? I exclaimed. You know her? I scratched my head awkwardly. Of course you must know her. You're a speaker too, and you folks are always keeping in touch. I told him how she helped me find my way to the village. You were well met, the elder said warmly. Sypha is my granddaughter. Wow, that's crazy. I gasped. Small world. Sypha's alive and well, though I wish she traveled with better company than a rude, smelly drunk. At least he was nice enough to give me this knife. I'm happy to hear that, the elder responded, relieved before handing me a golden medallion with runes. This will ward off any demons who may cross your path. It'll keep you safe until you reach your destination. At the border of the land, I parted ways with the speakers. It was a bittersweet goodbye, for I had grown close to this roving band of magicians, especially Vivian, who cried when she hugged me tight. You could stay with us. I wish, but I gotta do this. I did. I have a feeling we'll see each other again one day. I hope so. She kissed me on the forehead. Good luck. Mary was just as emotional, pecking me on the cheeks like an old nanny. Best of luck, young one. May the ancestors watch over you. She gave me a weathered but sharp sword. It was my husband's before he passed on. The blade is silver. If that vampire gives you a hard time, just plunge it into his heart. I thanked her, hoping it didn't come to that. I bowed farewell to the speakers, setting down the hill in my traveler's cloak, using my staff with my sword concealed beneath the cape. Following the elder's directions, I stayed on the abandoned dirt road as it wove through the vampire's country, through bordering forests and the edges of rugged mountainsides, walking with confidence and excitement, using my staff as a hiking stick with my head held high. Where the road was withered, the signs led the way, marked with skulls and warning. Castle ahead. Turn back. Danger and death ahead. The good stuff. I ignored the warnings and followed their directions. I walked well on into dusk and started looking for shelter for the night. I found it at the bottom of a cliff and started a fire. Warming my hands and nibbling at the packed meats the speakers gave me, I gazed at the stars emerging above the treetops. I sure hope I found what I'm looking for, whatever it may be. I murmured to myself, and that this Alucard is more welcoming to guests than the rumors say he is. I touched the hilt of my sword. Can I even stab a vampire with this thing? Maybe I'll get a better shot with my knife. What did Trevor say? Stick them with the pointy end. A beastly snarl startled me from my wondering. At the edge of the firelight, a horde of glowing red eyes stared at me. I see you, you shitheads, I warned, standing up and unsheathing my sword. The night creatures snarled from the shadows, but didn't move further. They couldn't hurt me with the amulet ward. Didn't mean they couldn't chase me. I sprinted through the woods as the hellish beasts snapped literally on my heels, gaining on me with each stride of their claws. All I was aware of was the blood rushing through my ears and the feral snarls of the unholy beasts. I had no direction in mind, no intent on where I was going. Instinct compelled me to run for my life to where it didn't matter. With the adrenaline pulsing through my body, I was able to keep a meager distance away from the monster's pursuit, barely escaping the clang of their fangs by a breath. I tripped and collapsed face first into the ground, a sharp pain throbbing up and down my right ankle. My head swam as I tried to right myself up again. The throbbing in my foot is overwhelming, and I couldn't put enough weight on it to stand quickly enough. God, no, I whispered, terrified. The leader of the beasts leapt straight at me, and with a wall behind me and an acutely injured foot, I had nowhere to flee. I'm dead, I thought morbidly, watching my doom drew near. This is it. A white blur flashed across the beast and it crashed to the ground, blood spurting from its neck. Its packmates yammered in a frenzy, their cackling gurgled into dying murmurs, collapsing to the ground, gaping, their neck vertebrae ripped clean out of them. I nearly retched from the stink of demon blood and death. Mind racing panicked on what the hell just happened when I hear another snarl, not from a night creature, but a living beast. A wolf emerged from the shadowed carnage, its fur as white as the moonlight raining down, and its eyes molten gold. Its muzzle wet with the demon's blood, padding towards me on silent footfalls with a calmness in its face. I scrambled back, reaching for my sword. The wolf stared me straight in the eyes and bared its teeth. Its gilded gaze held an intelligence beyond any beast. It didn't attack, instead leaping over me and sprinting into the woods, leaving me gasping and shaking in shock. I only regained my composure when the rain started pouring down, lifting myself up with my staff and limping the rest of the way towards the shadow of the great castle rising above the trees. Welcoming place, I muttered, passing the decaying corpses of night creatures staked on tall spears. At least I know I'll be safe here, I think. My breath swept out of my lungs, setting upon the grand Castle Dracula. Never had a giant, ominous vampire castle looked so welcoming. To call the place imposing would be a ridiculous understatement. It was the largest building I've ever seen and branched out like a tree. My wonder curled into stark terror. At the bottom of the great stairs leading to the door, 2 decaying corpses were staked at its flank. Flies nested in their sunken eye sockets and bits of their bones exposed from the pecking of carrion. It took a quick look at their skulls to realize the corpses weren't night creatures. They were human. I balked, considering for a split second of retreating back to where I came from before shaking my head. Oh, I lowered my head. I'm here for a reason, and even if it turns out for the worst, I'd rather be drained and staked by a vampire than rent apart and left to die by beasts in the wilderness. I hobbled up the steps, knocking on the immense vaulted door. I waited for a reply before pushing it open and slamming it shut behind me, hearing the cry of night creatures in the forest. The front atrium seemed like a gaping tunnel leading into the abyss, illuminated only by the rows of torchlight on the walls. I took a torch in my left hand, holding my staff in my right, limping forward as my footsteps clattered through the silence. I called out nervous, "Is anyone here?" Only my echoing voice answered me. "I came here seeking shelter from the rain and creatures of the night," I continued. "I was attacked by demons and I hurt my foot. Please help me, I have nowhere else to go." A gust bellowed from the depths of the castle, snuffing out every torch except the one in my trembling hand. I dropped my staff, startled as it clattered loudly on the ground. "Why should I help an intruder in my home?" A low, masculine voice warned. "Warned!" I darted my eyes, trying to find the source, but could only find the shadow of my torchlight. "You ignore my warnings and barge into my castle, demanding sanctuary and reprieve as if you deserve it. There's night creatures prowling out there. I exclaimed. "You wouldn't turn me out to the wolves, would you?" Movement whirred along the walls, and I heard footsteps coming close to me. The wolves and wicked beasts pale in comparison to the danger standing before you in the shadows. The voice said ominously, "Hoo-hoo-hoo! Do you know who I am, fearless one?" "I do." I stood as bravely as I could, trying not to show weakness despite the painful protest in my ankle. "You're Alucard Tepes, the son of Dracula and the master of this castle. A vampire." The shadow whirred again, and the voice drew closer. "And do you know what vampires do to uninvited guests? Surely you've seen the unfortunate visitors displayed at my doorstep." I fought the urge to wave my torch. He was right next to me, and I could make out his shape at the outline of my fire. "I'm not a threat. I didn't come here to hurt you." I gripped the hilt of my blade when I heard footsteps draw close. "If I believed you were a threat," the voice creeped behind me, "I would have ripped your throat out the moment you walked through the door." The shadow circled me like a prowling wolf, but I have nothing to fear from a shivering little puppy baring its teeth. The shadow drew closer, and I drew my sword. "Back off," I warned, hearing the click of fangs in my ear. "I don't want to hurt you, but I will defend myself." "As if you could, little one," the voice scoffed. "You've never held a sword in your life. You couldn't as much stab a fly as much as stab me, and you are injured." I jolted when a foot touched mine and a great shadow loomed before me. "Who are you? I wish I knew." I drooped my head, sheathing my sword. I lost my memory, and I don't remember where I came from, but something inside me told I had to come here. Maybe there are answers waiting in these castle walls. There is nothing inside these castle walls but darkness and despair. The voice said low, "If you come looking for things that don't exist, I cannot help you. Now get out. I don't accept guests anymore, and though you appear harmless, you probably are, experience has taught me never to let my guard down." A clawed hand reached from the shadows, and I hobbled back, almost falling over. "Please, Adrian," I begged. "I swear I'm not here to hurt you. I've lost everything, who I am, whatever home and family I might have had. I have nothing, and the only key, the only purpose I can remember is going to this castle." Tears hit the floor. "Please, I don't know what else to do." Alucard breathed softly. "You know my name." "Yes," I said, regaining confidence. "That's your real name, isn't it?" "It was," he said longingly. "Given to me by a woman with a kind heart. Not many people know my true name. A voice told it to me in a dream." I said honest. "She didn't say it was your name, but I figured it out. The voice told me to find you." Alucard remained silent a few moments before he stepped into the torchlight, revealing himself to me. I gasped. I wasn't expecting a vampire to look so beautiful. "Come along, then." Alucard took my torch. "You're cold, wet, injured, and you smell like a rotting demon. The least I can do is tend to your wounds and give you a fresh bath. The rest I'll figure out in the morning." He picked up my staff and handed it to me. "Thank you." I sighed in relief, following the mysterious vampire lord into the belly of his castle. I followed Alucard through the interior of the castle, hobbling on my staff and frequently pausing from the pain in my injured ankle. I couldn't walk fast or far without taking a stop, gazing in awe at the surrounding castle. The Gothic walls, the dark chambers, the hidden shadows lurking behind each and every corner. It truly felt like a vampire's keep, and part of me still feared I was a cow trotting to the butcher. The light from the torch faded, and I quickly limped to catch up with my host. Alucard didn't see me as a threat. He told me that enough, even if you tried to stab me. His cold eyes darted at my hand, concealing the knife scabbard, or tried to pierce my heart with silver. He noticed the sword beneath my cloak. "You wouldn't get very far. I'm faster and stronger than you." I could kill you the instant you laid a hand on your hilt. I flinched, drawing my hand away from my weapons. But I won't kill you. You've given me no reason to. He noticed my ankle wobbling. You are injured. Jew. No shit. I'm injured. I muttered. It's a miracle. I didn't break my leg running from those night demons. I winced, lifting my bad foot off the ground. Maybe I did break it, and I'm just a tough cookie. You didn't break your leg, Alucard responded curtly. Else you wouldn't be walking now. It looks like a sprain. Once you're bathed and cleaned, I'll take you to the infirmary, where I can tend to your wounds. There's an infirmary in this castle? I asked curiously. There is, Alucard said quietly. You sound surprised. I am, I admitted. I'd never heard of a vampire healing people. No offense. Untaken. Alucard chuckled quietly. Though it wasn't my infirmary, it was my mother's. She intended to open a hospital ward for the surrounding villages. He sighed. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Alucard responded quietly. She would have been happy seeing it put to use for an injured and amnesiac traveler. I told him of my travels leading up to me, stumbling with a sprained ankle up the steps of his castle. It sounds like you've had quite the journey, he remarked. You can rest easy here for the night. The bathroom was a small marbled room with a fancy tub, a strange bowl, a sink with a mirror, and a shelf with what appeared to be potions. Alucard told me Dracula built it to accommodate his human wife. He pointed out the different aspects in the room and their functions. My ears perked as I watched him fill bathtub fill up. How does it do that? This castle employs advanced technology that is centuries ahead of what humans possess at this time. Alucard replied plainly. The most important is what you see here, running water and indoor plumbing. He touched his hand in the water. This should be warm enough, what do you think? I stuck my hand in. It is warm, I gasped. This is so amazing. How'd you make it warm? I turned the handles. Here. The left one is hot water, the right is cold, but wouldn't mess with it now. I hate to have you scalding yourself. In fact, if you ever want to take a bath, come ask me and I'll set you up. Only I know of the mechanics of bringing in running water inside a castle that was once movable. Okay, I nodded, examining the labeled vials on the shelf. Are these magic potions? Ooh, I don't dabble in that, Alucard said. They're scents you put in the water that make it smell nice. He opened a vial and wafted it under my nose. This one is of the Mediterranean Sea. What do you think? It smells very pleasant. White, I said. Can I use this one? Of course. The generous vampire poured the vial into the bathtub while I undressed. Now, once you are finished and clothed, call me and I'll... His face went red when he turned to me. What? I cocked my head. What's wrong? Alucard blushed, looking away from me. You are many things, stranger. Shy isn't one of them. He gestured the now filled, sea-smelling bathtub. Here, I'll be close when you need me. Thank you. I sidestepped around him so he could not see my shoulders, dropping right in the tub with a loud splash. Oh, this is so warm and it feels very good. I wiggled my nose. It smells good too. Is this what the Mediterranean Sea smells like? I wouldn't know, Alucard said, averting his eyes. I've never been to the Mediterranean before. My father kept his travels inland. The only sea I've ever known was Black Sea, but that is inland. I would really like to visit the sea one day. I murmured, sinking low into the bath, the warm water soothing the aches and muscles in body. I could stay here forever. Careful, don't sink to the bottom or you'll drown. Alucard chuckled, handing me a cloth. You should scrub the mud and blood off you. Thanks. I smiled and got right to it, scrubbing my arms and legs. "Easy," Alucard exclaimed. "You scrub yourself raw. But that's how the speakers washed me when I first joined them." I answered, confused. "They wash themselves fast, so they can be on the road again, and safe." "You are not going anywhere," Alucard responded softly. "And you are completely safe within these walls. I promise you." "Sure," I nodded, feeling the truth in his words before scrubbing myself easier. I should have known better than to wash between my shoulder blades. Alucard came running in, hearing me scream, and found me arched over, wringing in pain. "Are you all right?" I couldn't answer him until the burning subsided, breathing heavily before slowing myself down. "Here I am," my voice ragged as tears dripped into the bathwater. "An old wound, I think." I leaned over the side of the tub, not caring if my back was exposed. Alucard's footsteps drew closer. I jerked away, splashing more water out. "I'm fine." "It's all right," Alucard reassured in a soft voice. "I just want to look." I knew he saw them by the small gasp he made. "You have quite the interesting scars, my friend." His hands were gentle on my back, but I flinched. "No, don't touch." "I won't touch them," Alucard promised. "They appear to be old wounds, but they still hurt you. Occasionally." I sighed. "They act up every now and again, but I think it was my fault this time." "I agitated them," Alucard mused quietly. "You said you did not recall anything before waking up in that burnt field." "I don't," I said, allowing him to wash my back. He made sure to avoid the sore spots. "Just the sensation of falling and burning." I reached behind me, gently touching the thickened skin between my shoulders. "I see," Alucard said quietly, now tending to my arms and legs. "It appears you are more than you seem, and the Elder was right. You do have a purpose on this earth, though I don't know what it might be." My ears perked. "But who do you think I really am? Not who, but what?"